Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to Wrestling Rants. My name is Adam and I'm the Palmo Lord of the entire frigging universe. So, obviously the Superstar Shake-Up episode of Raw happened and it was alright. Nothing too special. It was an alright, couple of alright matches, but other than that it was a bit, just felt a bit mediocre. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's Raw, but it hasn't been as good as SmackDown for the majority of the time they've been split up again, but anyway, so it starts with Cena's music, and it transpires that it's Miz and Maurice, which obviously means they're on Raw now. And they come out and they do the whole thing where they tear chunks out of Nikki Bella and John Cena for whatever reason, and the whole total Bella's bullshit thing, whatever they call it. And then Dean Ambrose comes out, and obviously he's now on Raw as well with the IC title. We'll talk about that in a minute. And talks about how basically he starts congratulating John Cena, and then The Miz reveals, it's a shocking reveal that it's The Miz, and then Ambrose gives him a dirty deeds because wrestling, and he was saying The Miz was shit anyway, which I agree with, to a point. Okay, so the next bit had Kurt Angle and Sami Zayn. Basically, Sami wondering what was going to happen to him in the whole Superstar Shake-Up. Kurt mentioned that SmackDown was interested in Sami, so that remains to be seen whether he turns up tonight on SmackDown, or whether Sami is remaining on Raw. But The Miz comes in and interrupts them and basically provokes Sami. So it looks like there's either going to be a Sami versus Miz feud, or there's going to be Sami's moving to SmackDown, which, to be honest, I prefer Sami moving to SmackDown. I can see him hold the IC belt soon, if they get it back. And if not, I can see him hold the World Championship at some point, because Sami is talented. I like Sami Zayn as a wrestler. He's not that good on the mic, but he's a damn good wrestler. So yeah. Next is the New Day versus the Revival. The New Day are pissed off because obviously the Revival broke Kofi's ankle. And the Revival are very happy to remind them of that, because they come out wearing, one of them said, we broke Kofi's ankle. So that was nice of them. I like the Revival as wrestlers. The New Day started, at the beginning of the match, the New Day just started taking it to the Revival, obviously proving that they're pissed off at what the Revival did to Kofi, which I think, in storytelling wise, was a good idea. But in the end, the Revival, in quite a nice spot actually, the New Day were going for the Midnight Hour. One of the Revival got off, managed to escape from the clutches of Big E, and they hit the Shatter Machine from an attempted flying crossbody from Xavier Woods, and it looked really cool, and it's why I like the Revival. But yeah, so the Revival went over, and the New Day ran, so no more ankles were broken. Right, next up, Ye Olde Neville. I like Ye Olde Neville. I live around where he grew up, so I like Ye Olde Neville, and he works really well as a heel. And he brought up that no one is on the Neville level. I like the rhyming there. It made him look pretty funny. Which is a shame. I mean, Neville's a damn good heel, but bringing up the Neville level is a bit silly. DJ Perkins comes out in the little backstage interview, and Neville basically says that nobody has respect for him, which is true, and that he's getting nothing now, even though he was the inaugural champion, which I think is an interesting way to put it, because at the end of the day, that belt, until Neville got it, was passed around a little bit like a hot potato, a wee bit like the Raw Women's title was for a while. So I think it's good that Neville's got it, and Neville's had it for a fair amount of time now. But obviously, him talking to T.J. Perkins, and then Austin Aries comes out and basically says don't to T.J. don't listen to him. He's just bitter. I mean, he's from Newcastle. Have you heard his accent? Essentially. So yeah, it looks like T.J. Perkins from that point might be turning heel, but that remains to be seen. Next up, turns out Hawkins is in. Well, he's on Raw now, which I think is weird. Putting Kurt Hawkins on Raw. I mean, he's the world's most high-level jobber, so I suppose I can see why they've done it, but it just seems like a waste when he was so good at jobbing on SmackDown. But Big Show comes out, still spilt as fuck, and he basically knocks Kurt Hawkins out in a punch. Because that's what the Big Show does. Walks out, knocks him out, fucks off back up the ramp. Pretty funny. Now there's the Cruiserweight match between Austin Aries and T.J. Perkins. Neville was on commentary, and I love his heel voice. It was so good. It was, yes, Michael Cole, and him and Corey Graves have such good chemistry. Obviously, they were a tag team for a while. They have such good chemistry as both heels. I think they need to continue that. If Neville gets injured, then knock on wood he doesn't. Then obviously perfect place would be 205 Live, because Neville, I love the way Neville works as a heel, the way he talks as a heel. It's just so sort of condescending. Yeah, so TJ Perkins, people hate TJ Perkins. I can understand why. He's a bit bland, but he won the match because Neville distracted Austin Aries. And then he turned heel by attacking Austin Aries. So, and then people chanted "You still suck," which was actually quite funny. Even it was cruel to TJ Perkins. He's probably gonna get some new music because his new music is very upbeat and not very heelish. So, new music next week, I reckons, and maybe a little bit more new ring gear. If not tonight on 205 Live. Right, Seth freaking Rollins comes out. I've actually written Seth freaking Rollins. And he started cutting a promo. He's happy that he beat Triple H. He was basically buzzing off his tits. It's like, yeah, we did it, obviously, because he's a face now. I think it's good. I like Seth Rollins as a face. It works really well. Because he's so over. I don't think they'll be able to tell him heel for a while, which is good. But yeah, he teased that he's got a problem with Samoa Joe still, which is understandable given that Samoa Joe put him out of action, or almost put him out of action for a while. So yeah. Obviously they talk about Steph going through a table because Kurt Angle comes out. Kurt Angle comes out and then basically tells Rollins that he's not going anywhere. It's as simple as that. He's not going anywhere because he's a really big asset. On Raw, so that's a positive because I like Rollins on Raw, and obviously with Dean Ambrose coming back, I suppose we'll see what's gonna happen with him Reigns and Ambrose. So, but yeah, Samoa Joe then sneak attacks him, and Rollins manages to get the upper hand, which is good. That's a positive because otherwise it just makes Seth look really weak, like really weak. But yeah, that happens, and then it just looks like, to be honest, it looks like there's going to be a payback match between them two, and maybe a match pay-per-view afterwards. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a 6-man tag match next week between Owens, Joe, and Braun Strowman against what used to be collectively known as the Shield. It wouldn't surprise me because I know how WWE operates, unfortunately. It'd be an alright match, but it just means everybody would get killed by Braun Strowman, because that's what happens. There's a interview with Kevin Owens, who basically turns around and said, "Yeah, I kicked Jericho's ass. I put him through the table. He's not here, is he? And if Dean Ambrose starts, then I'll kick his ass and all." That's the long and short of what Owens said, basically, which was a good. I enjoy it. I like Kevin Owens as a full-on heel, because he's just a dick, and I like dick heels. I like Neville because he's a dick. I like Braun Strowman because he's a dickhead. It's what I like. I like stuff like that. There's a women's match next. Charlotte versus Nia Jax. After the recap from last week, obviously when Charlotte got upset with Emma and Nia Jax for losing the match, and it was, both of them got a fair amount of offense, but at the end of the day, Nia Jax was just dominating the match. There's a couple of botched spots, but that happens from time to time. Nia Jax isn't the best in the ring. I reckon she could have used a little bit more time in NXT just to practice more than anything else. But yeah, Nia Jax goes over with the Samoan drop, and she just walks out, and it just proves a point that Nia Jax is really strong, and I'd be very surprised if she's not wearing the woman's belt, or hasn't worn the woman's belt before SummerSlam, because she fucking deserves it. She's brutal. And then they can bring up maybe Asuka or someone. She drops the title to probably Ember Moon, and she kicks the fuck out of Nia Jax, which I can see happening. I can see that happening, which would be good. Next up is I won't say squash match because they both got a fair amount of offense in, but it was Finn Balor versus Jinder Mahal. And they made Jinder look really strong. Like he threw a brutal forearm that looked like he was about to knock Finn out. Which, as I say, because he's jacked, he is fucking jacked. And at the end of the day, A, you wouldn't want to mess with him. And B, just he looks like he'd knock you out for fun. But Finn went out. Finn went over. Which is what I expected. I expected it to be a squash match, to be honest. So I was pleasantly surprised that Jinder did get as much offense as he did. I don't like the new Balor Club sign. I don't like the whole triangle thing. It annoys me. Like, I like the thing where it's basically parodying the Bullet Club, and the thing that he's got on his Titantron and on his on the back of his jacket. I like that because obviously it's meant to be the Bullet Club, just being a little bit cheeky, and like obviously you've got the club, which is again being cheeky. But obviously I don't like it at all. But we found out a couple of more people who were on Raw, probably to be jobbers. Apollo Crews and Kalisto back on Raw, which I can see them trying to reunite the Lucha Dragons, because obviously Sin Cara is on Raw, as far as we know. So that'd be boring, and Apollo Crews is just boring. I don't like Apollo Crews at all. But they've also got Heath Slater and Rhino, which is, I like Heath Slater and Rhino because obviously I like the whole I've got kids sort of thing. I like that, and the whole oh yeah, Rhino's now my best friend sort of thing. I think that works really well. So yeah, next up is the match between The Miz and Sami Zayn, which is a Survivor Series rematch, and now 6 months, 7 months, 8 months down the line, they're giving us a free version of it, which is good. So yeah, The Miz just mocks him because The Miz mocks everyone. He mocks Daniel Bryan, does the whole Daniel Bryan kicks. But there was a really good spot where Sami Zayn was about to do a suicide dive outside the ring. The Miz pulls Maurice in front of him. So Sami stops, does a backflip, and lands on like he's about to propose to someone. And I just love spots like that. It just looked really nice. But Sammy goes over with a roll up. And I just don't know whether it was a goodbye match or I'd like it to be in a selfish sort of thing because I like the idea of Sami Zayn being on SmackDown because I don't know, I just think it would work really well. I mean, there might be a couple of tag team matches because Teddy Long, as we discussed last week, I'm pretty sure Teddy Long is in charge of both SmackDown and Raw Creative now. So I'm pretty sure there'll be a tag match with AJ because he's gonna be face. There's no doubt about that. AJ's a face now. So AJ and Sami Zayn versus I don't know, Randy Orton and Luke Harper. I don't friggin' know. I reckon it'd be a bit of a Sammy's gonna go to SmackDown. Now it's Yield Wankfest himself. He has an interview with Michael Cole, and about a minute in the interview, Braun Strowman attacks Roman Reigns. And I mean attacks Roman Reigns. Oh dear God, it was hilarious. First he throws him into lights and stuff. Pretty average stuff. Much to the chants of the crowd saying "Thank you, Strowman," and just cheering that Roman Reigns is getting his arse handed to him. He throws him full on over some of their boxes into a table, and it looked great. Obviously, Roman used to be a bodybuilder and like a weightlifter, and my God, is he strong? Like you see how strong he is. He just throws Roman like he's a football or something, or a baseball, or whatever other type of ball there is. I don't freaking know. I don't do sports, but it just looked really cool. And then he basically throws one of the big equipment boxes at Roman. He throws it right into him, like Roman. He's got to be injured the way it was done. Roman gets strapped up to on a stretcher. Strowman nicks the stretcher, like full on, and just rolls it and throws it off. It's got to be about 5-6 feet, I reckon. So throws it off onto the concrete. Roman gets put onto another stretcher, taken to an ambulance, put in the ambulance. Strowman then follows him, shouts, "I'm not done with you yet." Thunderous cheers from the crowd. Strowman punches him repeatedly, walks out of the ambulance, closes all the doors, then lifts the ambulance on his side. Like, holy shit, is he strong? It was amazing. Just amazing. Next, obviously the commentators were terrified, and while the commentators were talking about that, the club and the Shining Stars entered the ring, which no entrances or anything, which is a shame because I like the club's entrance, I like the club's music. But this was a 8-man tag match: the Shining Stars and the club versus Cesaro and Sheamus. I really like their entrance, by the way. It looks really good. And the Raw Tag Team Champions, Yield Hardy Boys. I like the Hardy Boys a lot. And they are doing a little bit of delete here and now. And there's Matt Hardy shouting "wonderful" at the top of his voice and doing his weird arm pose that looks like a little bit like Randy Orton, but better because Randy Orton sucks. But This was an alright match. It wasn't the best. It was just your typical tag match. There was a couple of good spots. First of all, the beginning of the match, just the faces were just quick tags, snap, 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 quick tags, dominating. First of all, one of the Shining Stars, I think it was Primo, and then Carl Anderson. But obviously, what happens in all tag matches is someone gets choked out a wee bit, like headlock and stuff, just gets a wee bit dominated before there's a whole another tag thing, hot tag thing, which is don't like that in wrestling. I don't like the hot tag. Just feels like a bit of an overused trope now, which is a shame. But there's some really good, as I said, there's some really good spots. Jeff Hardy swanton bombing off Matt Hardy's back onto the outside, onto all the opponents, looked really good. And then obviously the Hardys go over, with the whole Twist of Fate into Swanton Bomb combination, which is, it's just a Hardy staple now, and I think it's going to be a wee bit overused in WWE because they won't let them do as much stuff. Like, people loved the Final Deletion because they would literally, there was fire and there was the whole jumping off a tree onto someone who's on a ladder, and they just won't let them do that in WWE. I don't think. I mean, the whole broken gimmick is just only really just there, like in spirit. Like, he's doing a couple, as I say, he's doing a couple of deletes, and he's doing a couple of his poses, and he's still got the white streak in his hair. But I don't know. It's just a shame, really, because I really like that. And once this whole stuff with Anthem's finished, and I reckon the Hardys will win that, then everyone will be a bit happier apart from Anthem. But Anthem can fuck off, because the Broken Hardys gimmick was used all over. Like, it was used in WCPW, it was used in Ring of Honor, and they weren't complaining then. It's just because it's in WWE now that they're complaining. Then there was a little segment in what looked to be the women's locker room, I'm assuming, because I don't think they'd be allowed in the men's. Dana Brooke is reading a book that said, How to Be Your Own Protege. Emma comes in with her Australian accent. She basically says, come on, you're my protege again. And basically Dana Brooke tells her, fuck off. He says, oh yeah, the women's division's changed. Everyone's gotten better. I've got better. I'm not the best, don't get us wrong. But I'm paying me dues, and I'm going to be minned. You're pissing us off, sod off. Then Sasha Banks comes out, mentioned just barely. It just feels like there's just a little hint of Sasha's heel turn, which is positive, because I want to see that Sasha heel turn. Bailey comes out, and they have a little bit of a chat. And then Alexa Bliss's music hits. And Alexa Bliss comes out, and obviously she's going to be one of the top heels on Raw now, because she was on SmackDown. I'm assuming with the Superstar shake-up she's moved. But I like Alexa Bliss, she's really talented. And then Mickie James comes out, and she basically tells her, it just looks like there's going to be a Mickie James versus Alexa Bliss feud for the time being. And that's before Nia Jax just runs through everyone, apart from Alexa Bliss, because she runs very, very quickly. Because obviously Alexa Bliss is 5 feet and she looks about 8 stone wringing wet. So, I like that spot because obviously it just looks like Nia Jax has to be. As I say, Nia Jax is probably going to be champion. Then the main event, which was champion versus champion, it was Kevin Owens versus Dean Ambrose, and this match was quite good. Obviously, there was a full-on feud. Back end of last year, I want to say. Back end of the year before. Back into 2015, early 2016. And I really like that feud for the IC belt, but now this match. Owens dominated for a little while. But ultimately, Dean Ambrose went over with Dirty Deeds. And then Jericho came out, and Codebreaker's Kevin Owens, because Chris Jericho is clearly pissed off at Kevin Owens for what's happened. So yeah, that's I don't know, it was an alright Raw. It's just your average mediocre Raw, I suppose. It was alright, nothing too special. I have got some questions. First of all, it looks like Battleground's gonna have to be dual brand. They kept mentioning that Payback even, was dual brand. Was a Raw exclusive, but it just looks like it's gonna have to be dual brand. I mean, they bring up the House of Horrors match. Because Bray's now on Raw. He scared. He basically told Finn Balor that he's gonna watch him. But now that Bray's on Raw, and obviously he's got that contractual rematch in the House of Horrors match against Randy Orton, it just looks like it's gonna have to be dual brand. Because otherwise, how are they going to put the IC title back on SmackDown as well, or the US title? But I don't think the US title will go on SmackDown. It's going to have to be the IC title again. So it just looks like they're going to have to put Baron Corbin versus Dean Ambrose on Battleground as well. So they might as well just make it dual brand, which is, I don't know. I don't particularly like that idea, but at the end of the day, it's probably going to need to be done because it's how they need to switch the IC title back. Because there can't be a title imbalance. I mean, there's already title imbalance because obviously Raw has the cruiserweights as well. So obviously Raw has a third hour, whereas SmackDown only has two. So I suppose it remains to be seen what happens with that. But I'm just guessing that they're going to make it dual brand because they're going to have to. Next is will the Shield or will Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt sort of group back together? I can see the Shield being in 6-man tag matches and being able to work together. I don't know if there's any animosity between Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins. You don't know. It's going to be interesting how they handle that. I'd like to see them reunite, but I don't know if they will, which is a shame because I really liked the Shield, especially when they were not wearing them stupid turtlenecks. But they were still triple powerbombing everyone, and obviously you had that spot at Survivor Series where they triple powerbombed AJ Styles through a table, and everybody popped for that because it was brilliant. And obviously, who's going to move tonight? Obviously SmackDown's on it's 5 o'clock in the evening UK time here. I don't know who's going to move. I know who I want to move. Sami Zayn I want to move. I want to move the club to SmackDown. I don't know who else. I definitely want to move them lot. Maybe the New Day, because that tag team division needs bolstering, because it's awful at the moment. It's just, you've got the Usos, you've got American Alpha, that's about it. I mean, Simon Gotch's just left, so there's no Vaudevillains anymore. So, it's just a bit toss, and we need to bolster that division. That's about it. Maybe Charlotte, because they need a new heel. Obviously, the only heel they've really got is Carmella, and there's no way she's going to be able to carry the heel side of the women's division. So probably Charlotte, or maybe Emma. I don't know. It just depends what they decide. But I don't think Emma could hold the division either. So whether it's Emma and Charlotte, and they put them in a little program as a little heel off almost sort of thing, and I suppose we'll have to see what happens tonight. I'm looking forward to it because I usually like my SmackDown, but I am glad AJ Styles hasn't moved because otherwise I'd kick the fuck off because AJ Styles is going to be the big baby face on SmackDown now that Dean Ambrose has fucked off to Raw. So that's positive. Anyway, so that was Raw. If you want to follow me on Twitter, my Twitter is @Palmo_Lord. It will be linked in the description. And feel free to subscribe, like, comment, tell me I'm an idiot, tell me that I'm wrong, tell me that my ideas are stupid. I don't care. Just tell me whatever. Thanks for watching, and I'll probably just talk to you later.